We are Ole Miss Rebels. As Mississippi's flagship university, we dig deeper, see farther, work harder. We pioneered human organ transplants. We helped prove Einstein's theory of gravitational waves. We are conducting life-changing research that solves the problems of today. We are Ole Miss, transforming lives and the world.
The freshman from Starkville on to try the 26-yard field goal. His kick goes straight up and straight down. Stopped by a mighty gust of wind, the ball seemed to spin as if on a pinwheel.
For the win. His team down 14-13. Into the end zone. It's good. Corey Peterson. And the Rebels lead 15-14.
Very good pressure defensively. This is Walton. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's a foot race. And Walton is going to go all the way.
Hey, welcome to the Palmcast with Stephen Willis. We're going to start in a few minutes, but I want to tell you to hit up our social sites, retweet, share, comment, like, do all of that stuff. It can only help us out and it'll make the show even better. But we're getting ready to give you a lot of good Ole Miss information, and I just thought I would tell you that because the Palmcast is starting. Well, it's starting right now. Wait, no, that's a little early. It is starting right about now.
Freshman from Starkville.
All right, welcome to Egg Bowl Week, everyone. I am your host, Stephen Willis. Thank you for tuning in. This is the Palmcast, and yes, Ty, the Tide Talk podcast is doing the Egg Bowl. They're going to echo our show from time to time. It's not really Alabama related, but we're joining us. Yeah, it's just something they're doing to help me out, bud. Also, before we get started, I want to tell you about Travel and Cruise World. That's 1-800-330-7461. 1-800-330-7461. Basically, what I was trying to do is everybody needs a vacation. We're 20 months into this at this time. So these guys can provide a boots on the ground look at Central Florida. You can do Disney, you can do the beaches, all these attractions around here. There'll be boots on the ground to let you know exactly what is going on. So that is Travel and Cruise World. 1-800-330-7461. See Central Florida like a local. Down below you can see the podcast we're on. Search Positively Ole Miss. Leave a 5-star review. It doesn't matter what you say. Just leave a 5-star review. We would appreciate it. If you want to watch the show, you can catch us on Twitter at the Stephen Willis or at YCN_SCC. Change the handle. It's a little bit hard to get to memory. All positively just kind of rolled off the tongue. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/Palmcast. You can catch us on YouTube at Positively Ole Miss. Search that, subscribe, and hit the bell. You'll not only know that we're streaming, you'll know what we're streaming about. If you stream to that also, whenever we moved over to Locked On, that playlist will be there too, so you'll be able to catch it on the YouTube channel as well. You can catch us on Twitch at Positively Ole Miss, all one word, all lowercase. It is Egg Bowl week. It is genuinely Egg Bowl week. It is the top game in the SEC this week. Both teams are improved. Ole Miss is going for win number 10. I think Mississippi State's going for win number 8. I don't think there's a game close to that in the SEC this week. You have the Iron Bowl that always means something, but it means a little bit less since they dropped the game at South Carolina. You've got LSU. They're in the midst of a coaching change. You got Florida and Florida State, which I'm really looking forward to this because basically you have two 5-6 teams fighting for the right to go to a Birmingham Bowl type game. I am all about that. I think Mike Norvell's actually going to pull that out because he's in the ascendancy, and I think they're 6-2 since an 0-4 start, or 5-2 since an 0-4 start. So if they win this game, it'll be 6-2, and you can see they're on the ascendancy. So that's good for FSU. But that's what we're looking at. South Carolina and Clemson. I think South Carolina might have a little bit of a chance, although Clemson's playing better. They have a chance to close out the season at 9-3. Can you imagine being in a situation where 9-3 is a colossal failure? It's absolutely nuts. Louisville's favored at Kentucky. We're going to do lines a little bit later on. So let's get started. We're going to start with Vanderbilt and do a real quick refresher on that game. We're going to get into a little bit of Mississippi State, and we're going to do lines for the week. Basically, all 10 filled up. I mean, it was pretty impressive. So that's what we are going to do today. So Ole Miss over Vandy, 31-17. It went pretty much exactly like I told you it would. The score wasn't exactly the same. But it was a game that on the air on SEC After Dark last week, Jake Thomas hit me up and asked me, like, why are you picking Vandy in this game? Why are you picking Vandy? And I told Jake, it's like, Ole Miss will not be up. This is the ultimate trap game because you have game day in Oxford the week before, and the week after is the Egg Bowl. There is no way that they can be focused solely on Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt, it was probably good scheduling at the end of the day. I don't like playing an SEC game. Next year is going to be much tougher, by the way. Much tougher. Next year is Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi State in this exact position now, instead of Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State. So, yeah, for years Mississippi State played Arkansas and then played Ole Miss, and it seems to have switched now that we've moved LSU up into the middle of the season. So, and that is coming after Alabama. So it's Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi State is how next November looks. Although the flip side of that is Ole Miss is in position to potentially start 6-0. And we'll get into next season and what we're expecting once we start our exit interviews, which will be, I don't know if we're going to do that when we immediately start on the Locked On Network or we're going to wait until after the bowl game. I'm still trying to figure out a little bit of a content way to do that. So, the game against Vanderbilt went exactly like I told you all week it was going to go. It was an ultimate trap game. The offense wasn't as up as it was going to be. Although Lane Kiffin was trying to pad Matt's stats. He won't admit that. He was trying to pad Matt's stats. And in doing that, the offense kind of got a little bit out of sync. You ended up with a situation where there were 31 passes and 17 runs on an offense that is 60 to 65% run to pass. So if you throw out that and get that out of kilter, that's going to be a problem. So, like I said, they tried to pat Matt's number. Matt threw for over 300 yards, a couple of touchdowns. One of the touchdowns was just the outside zone play, or split zone play. And you just pitched it forward instead of handing it off, and it became a pass play. It was weird. Lane's trying to ensure that this Matt gets on the gets to New York. I think. I just think he wants to get Matt to New York. I don't think he's trying to win it because C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young are kind of the top two at this point. But I think he's kind of a solid number 3 at this moment, and he has a good chance to get to New York. And this weekend, when he plays State on Thursday night, he'll be the only college game. People are going to be paying attention. You've got on the NFL game that's going on at the same time, you've got the Saints without a starting quarterback and potentially without Alvin Kamara playing against the Bills. Nobody expects that game to be good. Nobody does. So they're going to watch this game. So all eyes are going to be on the Egg Bowl Thursday night. And if Matt Corral can perform relatively well, he'll probably get on that podium. Now, that Saturday, you've got, at noon, you got Michigan, Ohio State. That's C.J. Stroud. And then after that, you've got the Iron Bowl. So everybody kind of has a window unto themselves. Kenneth Walker, unfortunately, is kind of out of it because the guys no-showed a little bit at Ohio State, especially against a defense where teams have had success running the football. So, yeah, we kind of went down a rabbit hole a little bit, but the main thing about Vandy is don't worry about it. The same people that are using Vandy to try and predict State used Liberty to try and predict A&M. Don't worry about it. Football games are not consecutive. Basically what they are is like a bunch of sticks that are wound together. There's 12 of them, and that's the regular season. One of the sticks is not related to the other necessarily, but they're in the same thing and they're bound together, so they try to find trends along the way. It's one of those things where people are a little bit too hopped up on analytics. So it is what it is. Now, tomorrow we're going to do Know Thy Enemy, Mississippi State, so we're not going to get into that, but Mississippi State's a pretty good team, man. They're legit. They're just like Mike Leach has done everywhere he's gone. Takes a year or two, and then you get it rolling, and then you roll a little bit. Now, I do not think they are better than we are. And I think they have some pretty significant holes if you can keep up with them, if you can hit them. They do a nice job of disguising it and making it look. Auburn hit something. It was there in the second half, but, Bo Nix broke his ankle. It is what it is. But they are a decent team. Now, a team running the same offense with lesser players was Arkansas. And I think Arkansas put a 38 spot on. I'm not saying Ole Miss is going to score a ton of points. I don't know. But it's a game where if Ole Miss comes out and plays clean, they will win. They have more playmakers offensively. Like I said, State is a good team, but they are that methodical good team. Things have to go well for 10 to 15 plays at a time for it to work. And they're executing it at an extremely high level at the moment. And congratulations to Will Rogers and everything's going on with Mississippi State. But a holding penalty, something to throw them off schedule could mess them up. If you tackle well on the outside, I expect DJ Durkin to come up with something exotic defensively. It's not just going to be drop 8. It's going to be a combination of that and then some drop 7 with zone blitzes coming from different angles. You have guys like Jake Springer that is an excellent pass rusher and can give people trouble. I expect him on Scott Lashley. And when he's not, I expect Sam Williams over there. And they're just going to pump that side of the field over and over and over again to try to speed up Will Rogers, because the offensive line is playing better, the wide receivers are playing better, everything is starting to look like a typical Mike Leach team. But there are ways that you can use that drop 8 to your advantage, because the strength of Ole Miss this year has been the pass defense game. I mean, it's hard to throw the ball in there because they're getting better at defending space. Now, one thing to watch, to look for with Mike Leach, and I'll say this early in the week so everybody can think about what's going on. Ole Miss likes to send 4 quite a bit. And that fourth rusher is non-intuitive it is often the middle linebacker. Sometimes in a spy position, but you see Chance Campbell take off and go quite a bit. One of the spots that Will Rogers has improved with is the behind the linebackers in front of the safety spot of the zone defense, hitting that zone. And it'll be interesting to see with Chance Campbell vacating what Will Rogers will do. The important thing in this game is, with any time you play Mike Leach, is to speed up the quarterback and speed up the Mike Leach offense. Because if you can do that, you can really start to mess with them. And the point of all team sports, it doesn't matter if you're playing soccer, baseball, basketball, it doesn't matter. You want to speed the other opponent up to a level where they're uncomfortable. Because if they're comfortable and can just play ball, they can play with you. Because there's athletes on that side of the ball. That happened Saturday night. Ole Miss didn't speed Vandy up to the point where they were uncomfortable, and they settled in, got into a groove, and started to actually work. Now, they're not very good. That's the reason they scored as little as they did. And the game was essentially over at the first part of the second quarter. I think that's when Ole Miss went up by 2 scores. But it's one of those things that is what it is. It was a game. You need to speed the opponent up. So Will Rogers and this pass defense, he's used to being able to sit back there because everybody only rushed 3, only drops 8 every time. So he can sit back there for 2, 3, 4 seconds at a time. He's not a runner. So go get him. Rush 4. But we need to hide and disguise where that fourth player is coming from. We need to mess with their offensive line. If we do that, we have a chance to be fairly successful, honestly. If it's slowed down for Will and he can do whatever he normally does, that's a problem for Ole Miss, even defensively. But it'll be interesting to see. This game is usually, for whatever reason, a game that is in the mid-20s and mid-teens. It doesn't matter what's happening offensively. It just seems to fit that when both teams are fairly good. So expect a fairly low-scoring game. Kill the under, essentially. And if you do that, you'll be able to see what's going on. Because this will be a fun game if you allow it yourself to enjoy it. Now, I understand that Mississippians, on both sides, Ole Miss fans and State fans, there's a segment of the fan base that doesn't want to lose this game and fears losing it more than wanting to win it. There's just dread. As soon as the clock goes over to Mississippi State or Ole Miss, there's just dread in that fan base. And they can't enjoy anything about it because they understand what's going on. Now, most people that are like that are trash talkers. So if they lose the game, they've been talking trash all year, and now it's going to come back to haunt them. They know it's going to be brought up whenever they come back from Thanksgiving. They're going to have to pay for how they behaved the previous 11 months. I understand that. But there's a segment of the fan base and they want to make you think that the whole fan base is like that. They're not. They genuinely aren't. Most people in the fan base, it's like me. It's somebody that enjoys it. Now, I live in Florida, so I don't have to deal with it. I'm not in the middle of it, okay? I don't have to deal with running into somebody at the gas station. I don't have to deal with going out to eat and dealing. Like I said, most of the time it's payback for trash talking. I grew up in Mississippi. I went to Ole Miss. I spent a couple of decades in that state. I've never been a trash talker. And I have never had a bad experience with a Mississippi State fan. As hardcore of an Ole Miss person as I've been, and as you can see, I'm doing this. So I'm obviously extremely pro Ole Miss. And there are not days usually that I go outside and I'm not wearing Ole Miss stuff. But understand this game. Have fun. Enjoy it. Both teams are good. This offers an opportunity to compete at the highest level. This is something this game has lacked for years. I mean, other than 2014 and 2015, it goes back to the Egg Bowl. The Egg Bowl was created. Do you know why the Egg Bowl was created? It was because Ole Miss and State wasn't good enough to go to a bowl game, and it was the last game of their year. That's why the Egg Bowl was created. It's actually called the Battle for the Golden Egg, if you want to look that up. But the Egg Bowl was a creation by the Clarion Ledger and Jackson in like the early 80s, maybe 1981 or 1982, because Ole Miss and State were not going to a bowl game that year. And they just wanted to blow out coverage. That's what happened. So it's a game that I'm genuinely looking forward to. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to get to see it. It'll be my my second Egg Bowl down here in Central Florida, because before then I relocated from Nashville. So the Ole Miss Mississippi State game, the Egg Bowl, will be the first game that I watched twice down in my new location. So I got here on the Tuesday before, just so I could make sure the internet was here to set up to get that ready to go, because we are cord cutters here, Ty. We don't have satellite or anything else. Everything we do is internet based. I don't think we've had cable or satellite in 6 or 7 years at this point. But we use YouTube TV quite frequently, so we like it quite a bit. But let's break off a little bit of Ole Miss and State and talk a little bit about lines.
From Starkville on to try the 26-yard
There's the
field
lines
goal.
for this weekend. Ole Miss and State. State opened at a 2-point favorite. It's dropped down to 1.5. The game's in Starkville. Arkansas opened up as a 16-point favorite over Missouri. It's dropped down to 14.5. It's scary against Missouri. Tyler Beatty is a heck of a back. He's just on a bad team. But they got bowl eligible. They got to 6, and that was the important thing. Tennessee favored by 31 over Vanderbilt. Game's at Tennessee. It's a game that I expect Tennessee to cover that game. It's the last game of the year. Vandy's going to fight. They're going to try and build off last week, but it is what it is. Louisville, the line has gone up to 2.5. It opened at 2. The game is at Louisville. That's Louisville and Kentucky. That should be quite interesting. Remember, I've called Will Levis all year Kenny Trill because his first game got everybody all hyped up, and at the end of the day, it was the same old Kentucky team. Georgia's favored by 35. It opened at 34.
Hey, welcome to the Palmcast.
Over Georgia Tech.
Start in a few minutes, but I want to tell you
Bama is favored by 19.5. It opened at 18.5, so it's gone up a little bit. And game's in Jordan-Hare.
Even better. But we're
it's a game that I expect.
Give you a lot of good Ole Miss information, and I just thought I'd tell you that because the Palmcast is starting.
I expect Alabama to run that up a little bit.
Wait, no, that's a little.
I really do. Clemson opened at 14. It's dropped to 11 almost instantly. South Carolina. I don't know if South Carolina can beat Clemson, but I want to see it. I want to see that game. It's not a definite to the point where I just go, okay, Clemson's got that, even though they're a 2 touchdown favorite. So Florida is favored by 2 over Florida State. It opened at 10. That was opening after the Dan Mullen, or before the Dan Mullen firing, and then after the firing, the line just shot down. It's a game where Florida State, if they win, finishes their season 6-2. It's a gettable game for the Seminoles. And bowl eligibility is on the line. So the winner of that game gets to keep playing. So it's like a bowl playing game. So it should be quite interesting. Honestly, this is what the Egg Bowl used to be in the 80s. It's just what it was. Texas A&M is favored by 6.5. It opened at 7. The game's at Tiger Stadium. Ed Orgeron's last game in Tiger Stadium before the expected exodus of players. I expect the transfer portal to really heat up in Baton Rouge because not many people want to hang around for a rebuild. It's an interim coach for Florida at FSU. Dan Mullen didn't want to be a distraction for his team. Honestly, he probably just didn't want to coach after they fired him. So it is what it is. So it's doing that. If you look at the other sports books that are out there,
the freshman from Starkville on to try the 26-yard
it opened at 2. The Ole Miss State game at the MGM, it is 1.5. At Caesars,
down.
It's a point. At Circa, it's 2. At
Stopped
FanDuel, it's a
by a mighty gust of
1.5.
wind. The ball seems to spin as if on a pinwheel.
It's a point. Points bet is a point. And Superbook is a point. 1.5. So the line is moving. It is definitely going a certain direction. It is going down. It has a chance to be a pick'em. There's the uniform from this past weekend, and I forgot to take that off the playlist, but it is what it is. But thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to give you a couple minutes back today since it's Thanksgiving week. Remember, we're going to do a show each day this week, including Thanksgiving. So our preview show will actually be a preview show for that game. Beast of the East is back tonight with Israel Troop, Benny Hardy, and Corey Burton taking over. So it's going to be a 3-man crew for that show. That should be a lot of fun. And I don't know about Best of the West. I have not heard one way or the other.
We're going to start in a few minutes. But
Wednesday, SEC After Dark,
hit
as usual.
Sites, retweet, share, comment,
even though it's Thanksgiving Eve, we're going to talk a little bit about the football games all over the weekend. Better. Remember, that's me, Corey Burton, Jeb Beecham, and Jake Thomas going over and over the SEC games this weekend. And it'll be released immediately. Biscuits and SEC's preview that we normally do on Friday will release Wednesday night as well, or maybe Tuesday night to do it. Bill Flowers will also immediately release. So we're going to do that because the schedule is sped up a little bit. Remember, December 3rd is our last show as the Palmcast. We're going to move over and be the host of the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. So tune in for that, bookmark it, do whatever you need to do. Also, go to Y'all's Conference Network, the YouTube page, YCN_SEC, and get lots of conference-specific stuff about the SEC. At Beast of the East, Best of the West, SEC After Dark. We pair from time to time with the Tide Talk podcast, the DGD podcast, the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast. Biscuits and SECs is there pretty consistently. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you very much for tuning in today. And as I start the music here, just remember it's Egg Bowl week. Try to enjoy this. Try to have fun. Don't try to make it more than it is. Also, with jobs coming open, don't overly fret about Lane Kiffin at this point. I haven't heard anything that is concrete, so we'll see. All right, so that'll do it for our show today. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll catch you next week. I hit the button a little early. Have a good time, and of course, hotty toddy.